Hey everyone, Joshua Short here alongside Lauren Moss. Lauren and I have been feverishly looking through this latest information we've just gotten from police in a news release. Right. We were wondering if there would be a news conference. Instead, we've got, and just to show this news release in the last few minutes from the Elkart County Homicide Unit, which has been busy in the last 24, 36 hours or so with homicide from Sunday night, Monday morning, and then obviously what happened at Martin's last night. We now know the victims.
We now know the names of the victims. In fact, you want to pull them up because
sure.
We have the three here, including the gunman.
And you can see Benjamin Jeffrey, the 49-year-old. You've been seeing his picture a lot on social media. We have as well. That is the official identification we have gotten. That is his name there. We also are seeing for the first time a 19-year-old, Anna Sue Rocha. She was an employee at Martin's, based on the press release, which we'll read. We'll try to read it in full here momentarily. The suspect, Juan Sanchez, 54 years old, just moved to the area less than a year ago. And we can tell you that is all we know about Mr. Sanchez. Again, he is the suspect who is deceased in this horrible situation from overnight. I do want to get two more names in because these are one of the heroes from last night as well. Patrolman Ethan Pasternak, who is still hospitalized from what we understand. Earlier today, we heard from the chief of police, Chief Milanese, who said he was still in ICU but stable. Okay. So that's the latest we've gotten. And then also we're getting one more name who has been released, Paul Vandenberg, Corporal Paul Vandenberg. So that is the update on the names that we know as of right now. You have this news release. If you could just read it.
I'm going to read it from the top, okay? So, of course, January 27th, 2025 was a tragic day in Elkart County. Benjamin Jeffrey and Anna Sue Rocha, both of Elkhart, were killed by a lone gunman at approximately 5:45 p.m. in the Martin Supermarket off East Jackson Boulevard in Elkhart. Miss Rocha was an employee of Martin's. Mr. Jeffrey was a customer at the time of the gunman's attack. Numerous shots were fired by the gunman inside the store, and several additional people were in significant danger as a result of his actions. The gunman then exited the store and was confronted by two Elkhart police officers. The gunman fired multiple times at the officers, who responded by shooting and killing him. Both police officers, Corporal Paul Vandenberg and Patrolman Ethan Pasternak, were struck by the suspect's gunfire and are still recovering from their injuries. One of the officers, Patrolman Pasternak, remains hospitalized at this time in fair and stable condition. You want to read the rest? Yeah,
the suspect that killed both Mr. Jeffrey and Miss Rocha has been identified, as you just saw. Juan M. Sanchez, 54 years old. That is something that we're getting as well. You're seeing it right there. Those are the names that we're getting. You also heard us talk about the officers. Lauren Moss just gave those a second ago. This press release goes on to say the Elkhart County Homicide Unit was activated to investigate the entire incident. Both the actions of the gunman as well as the actions of the police officers. That investigation is actively underway with the collection of numerous types of evidence, witness interviews, and the gathering of background information to answer the questions that are undoubtedly on everyone's mind, especially why.
Right.
However, that takes time and objectivity is what they said.
Yeah, and of course so many rumors are swirling on social media, right? What this could be about. We saw a lot of domestic violence maybe, or maybe an altercation. We cannot confirm anything from police or officials right now. This is the only sheet of paper, this press release that we just read to you. That's the only thing we can confirm. Again, Miss Rocha, 19 years old, was an employee at Martin's. And we know Benjamin Jeffrey, the other victim who was killed in this case, was a customer at the time of the attack.
A lot of people have assumed what may have happened based on what they're hearing. A lot of the witnesses have spoken to us talking about what they've seen as well. We're working to bring up the pictures of the officers. Again, we can do that officially now because we have officially their names. And so we can go about doing that. And we're going to do that here momentarily as we work to bring them up. Just an all-around sad situation. And I think one of our producers over our shoulder just said it. Along with, of course, the 49-year-old Benjamin in this, who is well known. We're going to show you a picture of him momentarily.
Really beloved in his community.
Really beloved, very religious man from what we understand. He's been known by a lot of folks based on the comments we've seen on Facebook. But obviously the age that catches us and you can hear me having a hard time because I've been talking for a long time last night as well,
Right.
is the age of the young woman who was killed.
19. Anna Sue Rocha, 19, from Elkhart, working at the time of the attack. Again, we don't know what led up to the shooting, but we do know she was an employee at the Martins.
We are working to get some pictures up for you. In fact, I believe we have them, so I'm going to show them here in just a second. I want to show you first Ethan Pasternak, who you just mentioned him, the patrolman who is still hospitalized.
Yes.
From what we heard the chief say earlier today, in ICU, but stable condition. Forgive me, I said critical. In ICU was what he said, his words, but based on this news release, Lauren Moss, it says fair and stable. Doesn't mean he's not in ICU still, but the fact that he is fair and stable, it is a somewhat of a progression in good news compared to what we heard last night. So that is who you're looking at here. That is Ethan Pasternak.
And again, we can confirm that both officers were shot in this case, shot by the suspect. And again, I know a lot of people even had questions about the gunman. This says in this article, according to officials, that he was shot and killed by these officers.
That is officially official. We can show you Paul Vandenberg now. We can bring that picture up and obviously show you the faces of the heroes in this story. And obviously a lot of people, we're going to show you Ben Jeffrey next, Benjamin, who a lot of folks have called a hero as well, based on what we believe was his involvement in the situation. Again, unconfirmed by, that is the one thing we can tell you is that we have not gotten any confirmation about what led up to these shots fired.
Right.
And I don't think we'll ever know a why at the end of the day, because it's hard to get into the mind of someone so sick to shoot people inside of a grocery store.
Yeah.
But that is what we know right now.
And of course, I know you were here late last night. You talked to a lot of people inside the store. It was very chaotic,
Very
right?
chaotic.
As you can imagine.
Very
when you
quick.
hear
Everyone says that
gunshots.
word. Everyone is saying like quick and chaotic. You sent in a video from someone who is in the area, and they described it the same way.
Right. I mean, you can see officer after officer pulling in. It did not stop, right?
No.
So we were on air at that time, right as the 6 o'clock news was on. My friend who was nearby said, look at these officers. I mean, something big is going on. You know it is when there's that type of presence, right?
We mentioned, and a lot of people, this is triggering for them, and then we're going to show you guys Benjamin's pictures. 2014, you go back to the shooting at the other Martins in 2014. You think about what those folks are going through this week as well, because this is far wide-ranging.
Right.
Obviously, what happened in that store, you think about those folks and the witnesses, but then you think about the trigger impact on the others from 2014, over 10 years ago.
And I mean, let's be honest, as news anchors, we've been together for a while now. How many times have we talked about shootings on air, right? These shootings that happen, national news, but when it's so close to home, when it's our friends and family who live in this area, it's really a sad reality check, and
It's unfortunate.
yeah, it is. It was difficult last night, and I know so many of you were worried too, because let's be honest, it's a Monday night, right before 6 p.m. So many people are grocery shopping right at that time, and
It's it's so scary, and it's unfortunate, and it's the reality.
Two lives
sad
were
reality.
lost here.
Yeah.
2 lives, but so many people were impacted who witnessed this and now have to be scared about going to a simple grocery store, right, on a weeknight.
This may be hard for folks to read depending on how large these the words are, depending on how you're watching this, whether it's on our 16 News Now feed on WNDU.com, whether it's through Facebook Live, or whether it's through our digital streaming as well, on air, over the air as they call it. So forgive me, we're going to try and read what you may or may not be able to see here. This is one of the victims we're getting our first pictures of. I want to get rid of this lower third so you can see his face there. That is Benjamin Jeffrey. This was posted a short time ago from the Elkart County EMA, Emergency Management. And they had this to say: our heartfelt thoughts and prayers today as we continue to learn more about the tragedy that unfolded last night. Ben was a longtime friend and volunteer for Elkart County EMA. He always spoke highly of the profession and was always willing to lend a helping hand. And I'm going to stop there and continue to read this in a second, but you think about just this year what EMA has gone through because of the tornadoes in Elkhart County. They were activated for those. You can imagine, only imagine, he was hard at work with regards to that. It goes on to say, through his service and his past with the Red Cross and many other agencies and organizations, Ben was the first to always put his foot forward for someone in need.
That's right. It said even if he didn't have the time due to conflicting appointments, money, transportation, or anything else, nothing kept Ben from being a positive influence and trying to help a stranger, a friend, or anyone in his community. The world lost a great, caring, and wonderful person last night. In the heavens gained another great guardian. Our continued heartfelt sympathy lies with Ben's family as well as all those affected by the incident last night.
I am getting a text, and I'm going to confirm this, but the reason I'm saying this on this broadcast is because it's from a source with the city in Elkhart who usually sends us news releases. Apparently there is a vigil scheduled for tonight at 6:30. I am going to work to figure out where that is.
I think I did hear that
and if you see something, Lauren, let me know. I'm just getting that text message, and I only say that in broadcasting because it is from not just a credible source. It is a source that we use from the city of Elkhart, who just texted me that. So again, that is tonight, scheduled for 6:30. One would only assume it's in the area near the Martins. If not the Martins itself, which is closed. We're going to have some new reporting on that coming up tonight. Our Emma Brott is on scene there as you continue to look. Thank you for doing that.
Yep.
But that is what we're learning. A vigil of some sort is taking place tonight. Not sure who's leading that. I'm not sure where that is just yet. But that is something that we're going to try to work on. Again, we are breaking that literally on the air right now as we talk to you, depending on where you're watching us. That is the information that we have. Again, within 24 hours of us doing the initial story of there being a shooting at the store, we're now seeing the faces of the heroes, the officers involved, the heroes in Benjamin, who you just saw as well, and the victims, who one of which is 19 years old.
No, I know.
And who is it sounds like a worker at the Martins.
Doing her job at Martins at the time of this horrific incident. We're continuing to try to learn more about the victims, right? Because we want to do them justice. And this was a beautiful tribute by Elkart EMA for Ben. I know we're also working to learn more about Anna Sue, because you hear that age at 19 years old.
It's just heartbreaking. And this would, again, this is echoing what a producer just said over our shoulder. This would be the second related homicide investigation to take place, initiated and, of course, investigated as the lead agency would be the Elkart County Homicide Unit. This would be 2 deaths of teens in that city via gun violence. And I'm not saying that that is the situation here. Again, we don't know what caused this. We don't know that. That is not mentioned in this news release. We are asking those questions because we know you want those answers. And we know there's a lot of, I say rumor because it is something that we have not verified independently, but based on how the multiple folks who've witnessed exactly what happened, they believe that this could have been something that was completely avoidable. And I think that's safe to say based on all of the witness accounts that we're getting from folks online.
I mean, it even says in this press release from officials, you know, everyone wants to know why right now, but unfortunately that takes time. So we have to kind of give the investigation, give the officials their space and time to figure it out. But at least we have the names of those involved today.
This is the breaking news that we're bringing you once more. We want to show you one last time, and then we've got work to do, obviously, ahead of our 4 o'clock news. We're going to show you the pictures of the officers momentarily, but we want to show you the victims, their names here. This does not include the officers. We're going to show you their faces here momentarily. These are the victims. 49-year-old Benjamin Jeffrey. I hate to call them victims. We're going to call them heroes for the sake of this Facebook Live, especially based off of what we're hearing from so many eyewitnesses who were inside the store. He was 49 years old and an advocate in his community. If you know Anna Sue Rocha, the 19-year-old who lost her life, we would love to learn more about her. We want to learn about who she was. We want to learn about the person she was in our community. We want to give you your time and space, obviously, but we would love to learn more about who Anna Sue was. I believe some folks call her Annie, based off of the multiple sources who've talked to both of us and talked about her as well. And then obviously you see the suspect there who shot at police, who then returned fire, shooting and killing Juan Sanchez, 54 years old, who had just moved to the area.
From Illinois. It said within the past year. So that's all we know about him right now. Juan Sanchez, again, 54 years old, just moved to the area within the past year.
We want to show you one more time the pictures, if we can, of the officers. We're going to start with Ethan. There's Ethan there, Ethan Pasternak.
He's the one who is still in the hospital at this time, but it sounds like his condition has somewhat improved? I mean, that's of course, we were hearing things last night that he was still in stable condition.
Yeah,
but
and it says fair and stable now.
fair and stable
It is so
condition.
hard when you hear stable to know exactly how they're doing.
Right,
But
we don't know the specifics.
the chief earlier today, and we're going to come back here in the news really quickly, said in a meeting that was already scheduled before all of this happened, that his officers, they're hoping for the best and they are hoping for improvements, and they were going to update us, of course, with those improvements. He did say those words of stable and fair, but did mention ICU as of last night, and that was the last check for him. And so hopefully that has improved for him.
Right. And the other officer, I
yeah.
believe, is recovering today,
That is
right?
recovering and out of the hospital.
That's good.
That is Paul Vandenberg. I'm going to show you his picture really quickly before we say goodbye. And you think about these officers, you think about anyone in the line of duty right now who have to go and do their jobs and not know what to expect on any given day. And when you hear the harrowing sounds on the scanner that says all units to a location in a city.
Yeah.
It just,
into a grocery store on a Monday night, right, of all places.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is the news that we have for now. Lauren Moss and I, we're going to join you back on our newscast at 4 o'clock in just over an hour. It is 2:51 Eastern time. We will see you guys at 4 o'clock right here, wherever you get your streaming, and of course on Channel 16 here in town as well.
We'll see you then.
We will see you soon. We're going to leave you with a picture of one of the victims that we have verified to be Benjamin Jeffrey. We'll see you soon.